Science fiction's never really been my favorite genre, but when it's good, I just can't get enough. I mean, last year we had the just excellent Looper, which I loved, and then soon we've got Star Trek Into Darkness, which I'm really excited about. But in the middle, we have Tom Cruise's latest film, an original sci-fi film called Oblivion. Oblivion follows Jack Harper, a drone repairman living on the now-ruined Earth after a war with some alien forces. He's only 2 weeks from joining the rest of humanity on Titan, but is now beginning to wonder if he should leave this place that he's grown to love and call home. Oh, is Oblivion gorgeous? I mean, the vistas of Earth are just great, and they're never, cliche, post-apocalyptic. They're just beautiful. The station and the ships and the robots and the guns, they all have great sci-fi design, very unified feel to it all. And the lighting is just gorgeous, except for a few shots which were actually underexposed, I felt. It was very off-putting. And I don't know who it is, if it's the director or the cinematographer, but somebody loves centered, symmetrical shots. There are tons of them, and they're all really good. There's a shot like that at near the beginning of the film that legitimately made me catch my breath. A lot of people seem to have problems with Tom Cruise's acting as a whole, but I never really have. I think he's a really good actor, and he's decent in this, giving us a perfectly relatable, albeit not terribly deep protagonist. And he's that sci-fi protagonist that discovers what's going on as the audience does. It works very well. This trend seems to continue actually through the entire cast. Victoria, Jack's wife, is that by the books, anything out of the ordinary, shut it down. But she has her moments where she's human, so she's not just a robot. It's funny because they're robots. But then at the end of the film, this trait of hers gets thrown into question and gets really creepy actually. She gets a little creepy because of this trait, and I like that. Julia, the woman Jack rescues from a shuttle crash, played by Olga Kurylenko, who was Camille in Quantum of Solace, is pleasant, and yeah, here's how I'll put it. I didn't have a negative reaction to any of the characters while watching the film. However, I don't have any reaction of any kind, really, afterwards. So, take that for what it is. The one thing I didn't like is their underuse of Morgan Freeman. He just needed a bit more screen time, though he definitely has his moments. Oh, and Jaime Lannister's in this. Yeah, that was a tad distracting. Now, some have said that the relationship between Jack and Julia is a little meh, but personally, I liked it to an extent. Something about it it echoed another romance I like. Something about a past romance being rekindled, but is ultimately doomed. What is it? What is it? The action in Oblivion is great, mostly due to two key reasons. First is the fact that there aren't that many action scenes. They only come around when it is absolutely vital for the plot, and that means that each shot fired means more. Second, and most importantly, the villains turn out to be the drones themselves, and these drones are pretty much voiceless HAL 9000s with machine guns. Sean approves. It had been so long I'd almost forgotten what it is like for the hero of a film to go up against a villain that is legitimately intimidating and powerful. More movies need to do this. Get rid of the walking target practice baddies and make the hero the underdog. I guarantee he will look cooler overcoming that. A huge part of science fiction is always the concept that the film is based off, and Oblivion works with tons of concepts. A lot of them don't come out until later in the plot, so I'm not going to give a list or anything, but let's just say that the post-Alien War abandoned Earth is only the beginning of its sci-fi motifs. This brings us to an important concept regarding Oblivion. It has a slightly above average score on Metacritic right now, and the reason behind most of the negative reviews is that none of the sci-fi concepts that it uses are original. They've all been done before, we've seen them. Some have gone so far even to call it a ripoff. Somehow, this makes Oblivion bad. The fact that Oblivion is more or less just a mashup of previous sci-fi ideas doesn't make it bad. If you're going to use that criteria, then you can't like any movie when you get down to it. I mean, let's be honest. All film is the, rearranging of elements already found in previous films. No film is completely unique. What makes a film stand out or perhaps work better is the pieces it uses, how the pieces are arranged, and how it's presented. Don't act like your favorite movie of all time came up with all of its ideas and concepts. If you think that, you're in denial. I actually think this turns into a strength of Oblivion, and probably its greatest. it mixes multiple standard sci-fi concepts together just incredibly well, and each adding a layer to the story until it all comes together in a nice way at the end. By mixing together all these things we've seen before, it creates something we haven't, and that goes back to my previous point about film in general. Now, is originality in the pieces good? Absolutely, but when it's all said and done, after a slightly uninteresting first half, when I was watching the second half of Oblivion, my head was just swimming, trying to figure out how this new piece fit into the puzzle, what it meant for the previous plot points, and what it means for the rest of the story. That's what sci-fi is really good at. Science fiction can either explore a very basic human dilemma in a more fantastic, approachable way, or it can use its futuristic and unique setting to give us stories that would otherwise be impossible. Oblivion does a very, very good job at the latter, and I can't ask more than that. Joseph Kosinski's Oblivion gets a 78. This is one I wouldn't listen to the critics. I had a lot of fun watching it. I think it's a very good film. Honestly, it's been so long since I've seen just a good sci-fi film, just classic science fiction. So if you're in the mood for that, I highly doubt you'll be disappointed.